Welcome to Our Energy Matters with Anthony, Manna, and Dena Marie. Aloha.
Yes. Aloha. There we are. Here we are. And it's episode number 77. That means that we meet weekly, first with the phone conversation for a bit just to connect, and then off to the episode of Our Energy Matters, where we explore the practice and poetics of physical, mental, and spiritual self-care revealed through Dena Marie's intuitive soul search discoveries and prescriptions for living a blessed life. A life anointed by well-being, self-love, healthful connections with others, and enlightened and balanced body, mind, spirit, energy. And that means so much to me right now because in our pre-Zoom meeting, you read my crystals. And I think it's really important because if I show your book, I mean, if someone's new to all of us, Our Energy Matters, the art of crystal reading, I at the beginning, I thought, what the heck is she talking about? What is crystal reading? So do you want to tell a little bit about what we did and where I wound up?
Yeah, well, show them the back of the book.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it right there.
So Anthony was missing the red and the yellow. So those are your chakras. And it starts at the top of your head. The white one that's kind of purple at the top, that's the crown chakra. The purple one is your third eye, which is right between your eyes. The blue one is your throat chakra. The one under is green and pink, and that's your heart chakra. And your solar plexus is below your heart. You know that one when someone's angry at you. And then the solar plexus is orange. And then you go to the root chakra, which is all the way from your hips to your feet, which is the earth. And what I do is I have people pick 7 colored rocks. I have 21 usually. And then I match the colors. And Anthony normally was working on his throat, the blue one and the yellow. And that's expressing himself, getting back into writing. I think through our time together, 2.5 years, we've talked. So your heart's open, your throat chakra's open. We have heart-to-heart conversations, you're writing again. But today you were missing the solar plexus, which is yellow, and the root chakra, which is red. And you had 2 pink stones. And you had 2 white stones at the top of your head. And what I do is I find the combination. So the combination is that you're overthinking something. You need to practice self-love. Here we are, Valentine's almost. You got to practice self-love 101, which we talk about all the time. And the solar plexus is about putting yourself first and spending time with things that lift your spirits, like your writing, and focusing on saying no with the root chakra, which is putting your foot down.
Yeah, and I mean, and I don't want to get into the specifics of it, but at the same time, talk about serendipity, or whatever it is that brings us together, because saying no is a big issue in my life right now. And it's the balance. It's the balance between a kind of good and evil, or a kind of awareness and lack of awareness, or openness and a closedness that I'm dealing with personally in my life. And so when you said that to me, it was like, whoa, yippee!
And before the reading, you wanted to talk to me about something that was, bothering you, and we didn't. And I still kind of figured it out through this. It's kind of a formula, actually. It's a formula, and I can teach it. It's the ones that are missing, the ones that are too full. Your heart's too full. And to release your heart chakra, you're going to have to say no. You're just going to have to put yourself first, put your foot down. And what card did you get? Do you remember what card you got?
11. I chose 11.
And his prescription was to look up and ask God, spirit, goddess, for a solution, a resolution, and write it down on a piece of paper. We'd like to resolve this issue easily, peacefully, and quickly, or something. We paint a picture with our writing, and the card was talk to God.
Yeah. And
before we even got done, we picked the talk to God card, and that was the prescription that I said before we did that.
Well, yeah, and I think the beauty of it was, and I even started, sometimes this is also new to me, this kind of attitude that it's waiting for you right there if you're in the here and now, and if you, be here now to hear the inspiration. And it's not necessarily inspiration, it's also being in that moment when something can happen that's going to guide you, but you have to be open to it a little bit, and so, or a lot, and so I said, I'm really going to have to come up with a resolution, and you said, no, let them, the spirits, so however you go about this, whether whether it's goddess, god, spirits, whatever, let them give you the gift of a resolution to this problem you're having in your life. And I think that's so important to talk about, because normally I would be in a quandary about it. I would be, what is it? Bewildered by it. I would be searching, and in this way I can give it over a little bit, through prayer and meditation. And I think that's so important. And I mean, it's really, it's a good way to begin understanding our connection to the universe.
Well, and I think as a professor, you work so hard. You had to force it through. You had to push it through. You had to get it done. You had to perform, on and on. And so when I first met you, you weren't looking up because your crown chakra was blocked, because everything is force, get it done. It's never enough. Keep producing. And then flow is when you give it to God, give it to whatever, and you go about your business doing the things you enjoy. And there's linear and then there's circular. I'm circular. Linear is what professors do to get the job done, and I was married to a person who was in academia, so I totally get it. But when you get to this weird playful thing, my ex used to say, the proof is in the pudding. just let her drive, let her do her thing, and because fun will start to unfold. We'll get free tickets to something, and all of a sudden we're meeting with people that are fun and joyful. But if we went somewhere with him and he had it all written down on a piece of paper and how we were going to, it was just a disaster. I mean, nothing worked for us. And so even like he still had to go back to the university and do that. But sometimes I say you just got to bring spirit to the table in every aspect of your life.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's so important for me to continue my meditation. And I mean, or I mean, I could say, take out my rosary beads, take out my worry beads from when I lived in Turkey, and just stay there, in that moment, and asking for help.
And remember, we say start with your thankfulness. Look up and say, oh my God, the sky's blue today. I have a partner who's lovely and kind and caring, whatever it is. You paint that picture first, and then you say, I used to say, help me, dear God, help me, or whatever, or the angels help me. And then I would have a synchronicity. So the synchronicity is kind of showing you which way you're supposed to go, because they're tapping you on the shoulder. You made the phone call by asking. You see those angels, like I always talk about them sitting behind you, so bored because we don't talk to them or reach out to them. And then they tap you on the shoulder, and all of a sudden you're sitting next to someone, you start talking to them, you have everything in common. And then all of a sudden you're doing a retreat at their place for free. I'm just kidding. But it's the universe. I say, I want to have jobs where I'm having fun and I'm living my purpose and my passion. And that's when our writing skills come in, because we have to paint a picture for them, a beautiful picture of what we want for ourselves.
That's so important. When painting pictures for me, because of the writing that I do, and because it's all image after image after image, trying to make them true and authentic, etc. But the other thing I picked up the other day, I have been keeping a journal, but I stopped. And I'm realizing now that, because what do you do in a journal? Well, I mean, everybody, I don't know, a diary journal, you write down something that's happening or whatever. And it seemed to me it was really getting very boring. But I think the attitude that you're bringing to me today, which could just be that the journal could also be part of the prayer, and the journal, I mean, and also I was going to go to it anyway, because I was in a bit of a quandary in the story that I'm writing. I got to a bit of an impasse, and I really didn't know how to go forward. And I think asking for help would be very nice, in my journal.
Well, and because your crown chakra, third eye, throat chakra, and heart are open, that gives you the ability to ask and write and be creative. And, if those other ones were closed, I would think you were not only depressed, but blocked, really blocked, where you might need a Reiki session or me to brainstorm with you or ask you what your intentions are or what you're grateful for. But right now, those are tuned up. So you might as well use that part of yourself to look up, paint a picture, love yourself. And then when the intuition kicks in, and I'll tell you, I've had issues in relationships where I want to go right into it and fix it. I want to make the phone call. I want to do this. And then spirit will say, the time isn't right. Not now, not today. And then, 3 months later, I'll get this like light bulb. I'm usually on the dance floor somewhere. I'm at a festival. I was like, make the call now. And it is like, you can't make it up. Like our reading, you just can't make this stuff up. It's so perfect. But my intuition kept saying, they need to learn. Let them learn. Take care of yourself. Ah.
I keep losing that, that connection to myself, and it's much better to be there, and I have to say that the idea of, your book, the subtitle, the third subtitle is Learn How to Manifest Your Heartfelt Intentions. And that has become a very powerful journey for me, because in a way it was like I wanted to shy away. So who cares about my intentions? Well, I do, and that's a good way to for me, it's a good way to start the day. When I meditate early in the morning, and use the concept of what is my intention for today, and sometimes it's very, very simple. Just take a walk, be sure to, make a nice lunch, or maybe more powerful would be kind to yourself.
Yeah. And then solar plexus are you by yourself doing what you love to do. And also making, gosh, I used to pray for everyone but myself. I used to write them down, and I look back at them now going, that's so ridiculous. You think you could tell your son what to do, or your daughter, or your brother, or your mom. And really, why wasn't I praying for myself? So during all of this writing the book, I learned that the most important person to pray for is yourself, because this is your life, your journey. They don't go with you when you die. They're not born with you when you get here. I believe in past lives, but you have you have a paintbrush in your hand. And when you leave, whatever you painted is what you take with you. Not your family, not your friends, none of your relationships. This is all about you, all of it.
It's pretty amazing to be reminded of this, and I think that I keep thinking too, what a great gift we would give kids if we could lead them to understand this, about the choices they make. And I think one of the I don't know if you're familiar, but the emotional learning is a big issue right now. ELA and emotional. I can't remember the whole expression, but it's the idea that you can talk to children about ways to deal with their emotions and about ways to deal with their joy and their sorrow and stuff, which right now, very politically, is not very well taken in this country. They want kids to just not talk about these kinds of things. And
well, and that's why I've grieved for the last 3 years, because I mentored kids and their parents and taught this stuff and learned about energy and, give the kids art and music and something to express themselves, a voice, and this, this whole time it's really sad, because I missed out on a lot of what makes my life so joyful. And all the kids that I did teach this stuff to are much healthier, but they didn't get in school. None of it. School is all okay. School is about learning something, regurgitating it, putting it on something so that the teachers can keep their jobs or their funding. And it's just gone. And the wrong direction. Even when we take art and music out of the school, or it costs money for kids now. Did you know that?
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, and what kids, oh gosh, I went to a concert a year ago. My grandson's playing. There was 3 people in band. Because of this thing that we went through, 3 kids were in band because they couldn't do music online. It just wasn't working, and they didn't get the practice in, and they didn't get to play with other people. So it was really weird to see, what 1 year of us not being social and together, what it did. The teacher was almost crying. I mean, she had to sit down and play with these 3 kids because there was you couldn't play a song. It was just too hard. So yeah, I think the kids hurt more without the social interaction and the emotional skills they need to communicate. Or I even had kids who weren't happy at home, but I taught them to expand their energy or to say a prayer. And one good story is that she's Kelly. She's been on my show lots, but she did start praying, and she did light a candle, and she did ask for angels to come into her world. And then she got sent away for 3 months, to go be with her aunt and take care of the kids during the summer. And she thrived. So even the universe answered her prayer in a roundabout way. And then she came back, and her family had shifted because she was the one with all the energy, but she was losing it. For her to go off and then come back, she came back a whole different person.
That's what it is. It's social emotional learning. That's what the expression is like. It just came to me because you were saying you used the word social about 4 or 5 times because it's so interconnected, and the fact that kids can connect with one another, but they have to connect with themselves first, that's the joy of what I've done in my life with children is because of literature and theater, and so we were in places where we were creating together. And the best thing I loved about it was with kids was improvisational theater, because we would present an idea, and then it would just take off. And the joy of watching these kids come forth, and I had no idea what they were doing at home. I didn't get into that because these were just like, a week. We would meet once a week, So, but I mean, that whole idea of social emotional learning, and some people say, no, stay away because you have no right to interfere, but interfere, give me a break.
Well, because lawsuits and all that. But Kelly and Justin came to me in Snohomish, and you just reminded me. Justin got on stage and got into a play, and we all went and watched them. Kelly went into dance, and we went and watched her, and it was just such an amazing time in my life. And I drove her to dance class too, by the way. And Justin, he's a chef, and I can say it now. He's come out of the closet as a grown man, and he's just the most loveliest, happiest person. But if he wouldn't have got the theater or the Reiki or the energy work, I mean, he couldn't talk to anybody. He both of them were blocked. But they're thriving adults, and they're still in my life. So yeah, mentoring kids and emotional socializing. and just, I have to say, we did our reading, and I'll say it one more time, our relationship in the last 2.5 years has definitely saved my life. I mean, you and I, when we're done, we feel alive and we feel hopeful, and I feel joy when I'm with you. So yeah.
Where we're laughing. I mean, in our phone conversation, it was hysterical in so many ways. And now we have to close because it's but I mean, it's so interesting that when I prepared this writing, and I should tell everyone that this is what we do each week. I have a prepared piece of writing that I didn't read today, but I'll read it the next time. But the whole idea today, my theme was, or title was, let's read your crystals. And I mean, and then all of a sudden you got in touch with me and said, I'm going to read your crystals today, and it's like, I think everybody should know this. It's such a healing power, So I say, everybody, if you want to move closer to Dena Marie's wisdom, then listen to her weekly radio show, Lift Your Spirits, on 1150 AM KKNW. It's on the West Coast on Friday mornings at 8 AM. And her website is dena-marie.com. Go there and you'll see a lot about why I call her a celestial artist and a healing artist, because it's what she does. When you mentioned Reiki, we should probably sometime have a bit of a talk about that on one of these Zoom recordings, because it's Reiki is, again, is very, I don't know how many people know it, you know, and it would be nice to explore because you do that so well. She's also very active on Facebook. Her daily chakra insight into chakra energy, blockage, and prescriptions, not necessarily daily, but a lot. Startling photographs of the island she lives on. It's, people respond to those all the time. It's so beautiful. And you love it there. Prayerful advice about self-care and information about her workshops and courses. My interview with Dena Marie took place on my website, which is anthonymannabooks.com. And you go to the media section, which is called Podbean Podcasts. And you'll find other interviews as well, with a lot with illustrators and writers and poets, because my website is mostly about nurturing children as readers and writers, children, tweens, teens, and new adults. Oh boy. What a happening today. I mean, it was just like the whole idea of the crystal reading is just so startling to me that it comes together in such a spiritual way, and it's just like it gives so much. And thank you so much for all of that. And don't send me an invoice.
He said, yeah, we were talking about that. But you know, this started as a kid's game, and it was playful and fun, and it lifted your spirits. It lifted my spirits.
Absolutely.
Okay. Good.
All right. Next time. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye, Dena Marie. Bye-bye.
Bye.